If workers don't have any expectation that our rights are going to be upheld, we have to take matters into our own hands. And folks like Elon Musk should think about that before trying to totally upend the system of labor relations that we have in this country. Elon Musk trying to abolish the National Labor Relations Board.
Yeah.
And it's worth just underscoring that this is stemming from 8 SpaceX employees that were fired because they wrote an open letter critical of Elon Musk's leadership at the company, which affects their working conditions, and which is therefore protected, concerted activity under the National Labor Relations Act. You have a right in this country, in the United States, to discuss and to act on your complaints about your working conditions. And, if he doesn't like that, he can go back to South Africa. That's what I have to say about that. But we have a right to that in this country. And so multiple SpaceX employees did that, and 8 of them were fired specifically for that. I mean, SpaceX didn't even try to hide it. And so the NLRB said, that's illegal. You got to rehire these people and you got to give them back pay. And an administrative law judge agreed. And now Elon Musk is appealing it to an appeals court, took it to a federal court last week, saying that, not only is this isn't a correct application of the law, I disagree with the general counsel, whatever. They're saying the SpaceX's argument is that actually the entire agency's structure is unconstitutional because it deprives him of his right to a trial by jury. I don't think that's what the trial by jury was made for, actually. This is not a criminal conviction, unfortunately. I think it should be in a lot of cases. We should have criminal convictions for labor violations, but we don't, much to the benefit of people like Elon Musk. And but nevertheless, he is, and so that's his argument, is that the way that the structure of the National Labor Relations Board, which is set up to enforce the National Labor Relations Act, is unconstitutional. The system of administrative law judges is illegitimate on its face, and the whole regime has to be overturned because of that. And he presumably thinks that this would result in a better regime for bosses, so that bosses like him can run roughshod over their employees and do whatever they want, even irrespective of their performance, right? Because there's not even a performance allegation in the firing of these SpaceX employees. It's just that Elon Musk didn't like their speech, and so he fired them, which is incredibly ironic because he bills himself as a free speech absolutist. And there are just so many story after story after story of Elon Musk showing how his claim to that title is absurd. It is just simply not accurate. There was another one during the break over in Sweden where a Tesla employee in Sweden was called and into Tesla's office and disciplined because his wife posted derogatory comments about Tesla on her social media. Insane. Absolutely bonkers stuff. And so, he's trying to do that in this country. And, unfortunately for him, workers have certain not protected enough and too little, but we have certain free speech rights in this country. And he wants to overturn that. And that's, just one of many examples. It's not just Elon Musk. I mean, the whole cadre of these fools who go on about how free speech is so important, none of them really mean it. All they mean when they talk about free speech being important is that they want their multimillionaire friends to be able to sell more books and be in the New York Times opinion pages more often than they already are, to be able to speak at campuses without any protests, stuff like that. They're not actually concerned with any, with free speech rights of workers, of, working people to talk about their conditions because they want to be able to lord over them, you could say, without any repercussion or input from the workers.
Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate.
So really, really gross stuff there. And it's really important because, and it's worth underscoring that the National Labor Relations Act was the compromise, right? Right? The National Labor Relations Act happened after workers were occupying factories, holding enormous mass picket lines, actual violent demonstrations of their power, and there were frequent armed struggles between workers and the local police and the National Guard and all of this. And so, the National Labor Relations Act was the compromise. It is supposed to be this thing that, workers and bosses can both agree that there's this process and it's nonviolent and all of this. That's the system that he's trying to overturn. He is trying to send us back to the days where workers literally had to be violent to get the things that we have today, and literally had to mostly actually not be violent, mostly have violence inflicted on them by the state and company thugs, right? That's the world that he wants to send us back to. And so, there's a lot of benefits to the owning class, to a regime like that. But there are also some downsides, that being that, if workers, if we don't have any expectation that our rights are going to be upheld, then we have to take matters into our own hands in more ways than we are right now. And so there are also some downsides, and folks like Elon Musk should think about that before trying to totally upend the system of labor relations that we have in this country.
Yeah, I was reading this story. I'm reading The Southern Key by Michael Goldfield, and he had the story in there about the mayor of Chicago. This was during the height of the Depression, and he was writing about, and Goldfield's writing about, in this case, unemployed organizing, the unemployed mass organizing of unemployed folks. And they were pushing demands, and in Chicago, they held some emergency actions, got some emergency funding to provide some relief. And the mayor said, hey, for people who are going to gripe about this because their taxes might go up, this is the best way that I make sure you keep your property. In other words, this reform that, we have to at least, give some crumbs to the masses, right? We have to give them something and give some sort of reform. Otherwise, you back people into a corner, and people who have nothing left to lose can be, really unpredictable. And, it is unfortunate. We're seeing the return of the Gilded Age in so many respects in our society, from the inequality of wealth and to this power of these robber baron type figures. And it's unfortunate he wants to take us back to those days of labor relations. Mm-hmm. It's a vicious, violent, very dark time in our history when workers risk their lives to organize, risk their lives to make their lives better and their families better, and to try to have some dignity on the job. And it often came with violence. It came with all sorts of repercussions, blacklisting, you name it. And so, this is who he is. This is what he's about. This is what he wants for everyday people. So, that's why I always am baffled by, the regular people who are fanboys of people like Elon Musk.
Right.
We're not in the same class. We're not the same. Sorry.
Yeah. What's good for Elon Musk is actually, in fact, not good for us by and large. We have different interests.
So, yeah, I'm curious to see what happens with the trial, and, we'll find out what happens. I noticed the NLRB has no comment at this time, which, probably is for the best.
Right.
If I had to give them advice, like, don't even get into this shit-slinging match with him. But, we'll see.
Yeah.
Nothing would surprise me with the amount of right-wing extremists that are dominating in so many of our courts.
Right.
You can't trust these judges.
No.
You can't trust them to do the right thing. And so, it may not be as much of a long shot as it may seem on the outside. I hope nothing comes of it, but I wouldn't be shocked. And I'm sure, he's hoping for a Trump administration, which would be yet another way to gut the NLRB. Not to get on that subject, but,
Right.
So there's a lot of threats to the existing labor relations regime from multiple directions right now, between the election, between these kind of lawsuits, and companies like Amazon and Starbucks really pushing the boundaries to see what they can get away with.
Yep. You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.